And unlike its Nordic neighbors, Finland, Denmark, and Norway, Sweden decided not to implement a strict lockdown policy during the pandemic. Joining us live from the Netherlands is Malu Francisco. Hello, Malu. Good evening from Manila.
All right.
Hi,
Okay.
Malu. Yes. So
All
the
right. Yeah.
strategy of not implementing a strict lockdown policy in Sweden has attracted some attention, but some criticism as well. Maybe you can shed light on why they don't have such a strict policy.
Oh, yes. In fact, I think a lot of us are not quite clear about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the approach of Sweden, which is no lockdown during COVID-19, has really attracted global criticism, and not only internationally, but as well as domestically, including scientists and some citizens of Sweden. And some people are saying Sweden is not doing enough to protect its people. Well, there are reasons behind that. And at the moment, the Public Health Agency, with its chief, the state epidemiologist, has said that it's too early to judge that what Sweden is doing is wrong, despite the increasing death rates. It's not uh, good enough, or it's not what do you call this? It's not a reason to disqualify the plan that has been presented. And about the approach, so no lockdown, and that's why restaurants, parlors, shops, and businesses and primary schools have remained open, and that is to free up the parents of these children who are health workers so that they can continue their work in healthcare facilities. One of the reasons given by the authorities, by the government authorities, is that with this approach, no lockdown, this is an approach toward protecting the health of the people, sustaining the healthcare facilities and their healthcare workers, as well as protecting the economy. So they're saying that this is a kind of long term approach. And the strategy relies heavily on personal responsibility, voluntary obedience, and the mutual trust between the government and the people. And Prime Minister Stefan Löfven calls on the people to take responsibility as individuals. Actually, Alma, this high trust between the government and the people, this is something rooted already in the Swedish culture, and that started even as early as 17th centuries according to records. Reading the action of Sweden is the Public Health Agency, which recommends actions to the government. The government may take the actions or not, but the government cannot dictate because they cannot have this political override over the expert agencies. So the criticism on no lockdown, according to state epidemiologist Anders Tegnell, as long as we have no vaccine and there is no cure, approved cure for COVID 19, everything is uncertain. And what can be done is just do our very best, and that individuals should take responsibility toward themselves and toward society. However, it doesn't mean that Sweden has not taken protection measures. Uh, the the epidemiologist was saying that the criticism has been on the action that Sweden has not taken, which is lockdown. And they're not talking about what Sweden has already taken to protect the people. Like in place, they have social distancing, staying at home with the slightest symptoms, working from home if possible. Rules are also imposed. There are no public events with 50 or more people, and travel bans have been imposed in answer to the EU or European Union call. And perhaps for people who are not familiar with the system of Sweden, it might help to understand the approach. If we look a little bit at the characteristics of Sweden and its people. Sweden has a low birth rate. It has 10 million population living in a surface area which is as big as Spain or Thailand or California. And Sweden is one of the greenest countries in the world. In fact, the forest covers more than 60% of the country. Sweden takes pride in its excellent health and social welfare systems. Yes, the citizens pay high taxes, but they can see where the taxes go. The population, the people have long life expectancy. Females life expectancy up to 84 years, and the male citizens up to 81 years. And again, social responsibility is part of their cultural genes, as they say.
So you
Oh,
have guests with you.
yes, we have invited two guests from Sweden just so we can understand what life is like. So we have mother and son here. We have uh, Edith Karaan, who works as an accountant in Sweden. And then her son, Ashton, a high school student. He was born and raised in Sweden. He speaks Filipino, English, and Swedish.
Wow.
And both of them are greatly involved in karate. So one of the topics we'll be asking them will be about how do they keep on with their training so that they remain fit for the competitions, when this crisis
Uh-huh.
is over.
So welcome to the program.
Here they are.
Welcome to the program. Hello, Edith. And your son, what's his name? Joshua?
Ashton.
Ashton.
Hi, Miss Alma.
Hi, good to see you and welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Hi. So, can you tell us a little bit about what Malu has just mentioned about the lifestyle in Sweden, the trust between the government, the culture of trust between the government and the people of Sweden? Can you tell us more about this, especially during this pandemic and what's happening? How are you guys coping up with the measures, even though, it's kind of loose policy? How do you keep yourself safe? Yes.
Yeah, actually, in this time of COVID-19 in Sweden, you can see the mutual trust between the government and its people, because if you can see all other in the parts of the world, they impose a specific instruction that it should be locked down. But here it's more on information, direct information from the government and to its citizen. So basically, we have this information that it's not only the government's task to take responsibility in this specific situation. We as individuals should also take responsibility, like in the case of mother, you should always inform your family, or the father should inform the family of what is the importance of hygiene and everything that follows. But when it comes to my work situation here in Sweden, for me it's more challenging and interesting, I can say.
Why is that with your work situation? Can you tell us a bit more?
I think interesting because you get to explore alternative ways in which you would like to deliver the same output as if you're working at home. I'm working in the office per se. And then challenging because there are a lot of considerations you have to think, like the informations that you need to acquire and the key persons you have to talk to. So like starting with your own team and in our case, our counterparts in European countries, and that those that are not within the European countries. You have to know and think and find out what is the current situation of their manpower, like referring to irregular hours, the time difference, and even their skeletal force of work. So you got to be, it's important, it's very vital that you have a good network of people, you maintain good relationship with them, and at the same time, you have to be a team leader even more in order to lead, that will lead to an efficient and effective work output in the end. That's it.
And I can see some pictures of your son. He is in a karate suit.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about him and how are you guys managing with all the practice and all that in a COVID-19 situation?
Yeah. Alma, excuse me,
Yes,
if
please,
I may
please do.
introduce Ashton.
Yes.
Okay. In relation to the karate.
Yes.
And perhaps later you can also ask him about his learning from home. But since you mentioned about karate, just to let you know, we have here Ashton, who is the holder of the Swedish National Championship in karate in his category, and that was held last year.
Wow.
And then because of that, he represented Sweden in the Nordic Karate Championship. And in both competitions, there were more than 200 competitors. And when it comes to the Nordic Championship, there were eight countries, including Sweden. And some of these countries are Estonia, Denmark, and let me see, Norway, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
Mom must be proud.
Oh, by the way, the mother is a karate instructor.
Oh,
Yeah.
And she's the coach.
interesting.
Happens to
Very
be.
interesting indeed. Yes, go ahead, Badu.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's ask Ashton here. And by the way, the category, it is called Committee Individual Cadet Male. And Ashton, at his young age, I mean, he's doing this already. Had he been a bit older, he could have gone to, let's say, the black belt category, but that cannot happen because of his age. All right, so let's hear from Ashton.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Well, when it comes to my karate and how this pandemic has had an impact on it, now that we are not quarantined, we still go to karate sessions, but of course we have to have some limits. For example, I used to have 5 to 6 trainings per week, but due to the situation we live in, now we have to shorten it down to maybe 3 to 4 days a week. And even in the karate, before we can enter, we have a rule that we have to wash our hands and we have to sanitize our hands before getting in to the training hall. And even in the training hall, there's a rule that we have to stay 1.5 to 2 meters apart from each other before we can train. And as well as going outside, if we're done with the session, we have to also sanitize and wash our hands after. So it has been a big difference, but we feel very fortunate that we still are able to train.
But with training goes with karate moves. You have to fight with someone. How does that go? How does that? How do you do your training? Is it just solo?
Well,
No partners for now.
No.
No fighting partners for now.
What we have implemented now is that sparring is completely forbidden. We can't have partners and punch and kick and touch them because that's against the social distancing rule.
Okay.
So now, mostly what we have done instead is we have sparring matches against the mirror. So you kind of look at yourself and then we say now we have to punch faster than our reflection. So it's kind of that makes the training sessions a bit more fun, a bit more thrilling. So yeah.
Okay, I just have a follow-up, Alma.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Malu. Yes.
Yeah. Edith Ashton, okay, due to COVID-19, has your schedule for this year been affected?
Yeah,
mean,
you mean
competitions.
Yeah, competitions. Yeah, it was indeed greatly affected this because of this COVID-19. Because usually you will get to travel around Europe, and the competitions for Ashton is very rigid, and even he has a training for the national team, which was also not clear right now because of the situation. It depends on the Department of Health in Sweden how they would pursue in the future. But right now we could have been we are supposed to be in Croatia this last week of June to July because of the karate youth competition, and then there are a lot of competition within Sweden and within Europe that were already postponed due to the pandemic. So it kind of affects the competition. But again and again, we tried our best to maintain the training, although it's very minimal. But we have a way of going through with it, since if the pandemic stops, then we could not be, or especially Ashton, who is in a competing team, he could not jump in the competition without continuing or pursuing his condition, and the technique should be continuously developed.
Okay. Oh, yes. I just want to hear from Ashton. Let's go to his school schedule. How is it? How are you doing it? And you're in high school, right?
Oh no, I'm graduating to high school, so you could say I'm in junior high grade school here in Sweden. So yes, when it comes to our situation, people from my age or personally, we do face some challenges when it comes to school, at least. For example, nowadays we have to be more careful about not spreading bacteria or germs, and with that we have to act with more caution. Now there's stricter rules. For example, before entering our classes, we have to be watched while we wash our hands for 2 minutes. We have to be very strict about that. And then even after that, we have to, again, sanitize our hands. And here comes another challenge where we're so many students in my school. We're 500 people. So the hand sanitizer goes, it doesn't, it runs out. So what we have to do is, again, own initiative. We have to bring our own hand sanitizers, if you know what's safe for us. But what I would say the bigger challenge would be is that for us going to high school, for those high school students going to uni, or for those going to college, we want to really have a proper graduation, because again, with this situation, for example, in my situation, my mom and dad can actually be in the venue where I'm graduating. They have to stay at home and watch my graduation through a live stream instead.
I know, my gosh.
Yeah.
I find it very natural, but you can't complain. That's the first time virtual graduating class.
What about you, Edith? As a mother, how did you have to adjust? How is the adjustment over there in Sweden? How is it like?
What do you mean in this COVID situation?
Yes.
Yeah,
What
it's really.
adjustments did
I
you
can
have to
say
make? Yeah.
it's really it's really challenging because me as a mom, I don't.
Yes.
I'm very active in different activities. Like I'm active in our church, and I'm active in my karate schedule. My work is very stressful as well. And then as a mom, I'm very on guard, and I can say on guard, hands-on with Ashton. I do not come home without asking me how is school, how is karate, how is everything, is there any conflict in school, and then have you read the church information, what are our activities, and so forth. So I'm really into those things. And I multitask outside the home, and even I don't really forget my own activities, because in order for you to have the strength and to be in condition in everything you do, like taking care of your son and your family, you have to take care of yourself as well. So that's why I trained with Ashton side by side, even though I have to admit that he has a higher belt than me, because he started early. That is okay. And then it also helps a lot when you have a husband, a person that stands by you and helps you throughout in order to bring up Ashton in the best possible way. He is the quiet type, but in his silence there is strength. I am the one who is more, I wouldn't say very, nugger is a negative word, but I would say I'm very proactive. So in everything. So and besides, I'm very particular as well. I know that he is into karate, he's into a lot of activities, but my priority is he has to show me an excellent grades in school, which he really is very good at it. So I think I have done a great job as of the moment. Let's see.
I think so too. I can see it's a
I fully agree. I fully agree. And while I was having this pre-interview with them, I asked Ashton, how did you develop discipline? And he immediately pointed to his mother. Oh, Alma, by the way,
Yes.
perhaps you're curious, how does the Swedish language sound? So, I mean, for me, this is my last request
Yes.
with Ashton.
Yes, please.
Ashton, could you say, it's been a pleasure being here, and I wish you all well in this COVID time. How do you say that in Swedish?
Swedish, yes.
Det har varit en ära att vara här för er, och jag önskar er lycka i den här covid-19.
All
Okay.
right.
Wow,
Very
that would be a
good.
great challenge for us.
Yes. And with that, I thank everybody for being on the show. I wish we had more time. My director is telling me that we have no more time. But thank you so much. And
Thank you
I
for
wish
having
I could
us.
have you all guys again. Thank you, Malu, for having them with us, for bringing them